Rev up your engines! R. Williams says, I got a 2021 4Runner. It sounds like a diesel engine when it's first started. Is this normal? Well, it shouldn't be normal, but unfortunately for some of them it is. They didn't build those engines right in 2021. I made a video last year. A guy brought me one. Right? It had 20,000 miles on it, started up cold, sounded like a diesel engine. Toyota said, oh, this is normal, right? But in that video, the same time, I had like a 20-year-old 4Runner I was working on for a customer. It had 380,000 miles. It didn't make any noise on startup, so it's not normal. Make a record of it, film it, because if Toyota tries to give you some BS, eventually the engine will break because there's something wrong. They should not rattle like that, and they will have to fix it for free. And take it to the Toyota dealer and get it in writing if they say that's normal, and have a video of it when it's cold making a noise so they can't BS their way out of it. They might have a class action suit on their way, as a matter of fact. So much noise and so many people complaining. Ronald Howard says, I got a 73 GMC truck, 300,000 miles. The heater blower speeds up as I push the gas pedal. Normally, that means that your alternator or your battery's weak. So have the alternator and battery tested. Because if you don't have enough electricity, when you rev the engine up, the alternator spins faster, charges the battery more, and then the fan will go fast. Now, from my experience, that usually means it's the battery. You're going faster, the alternator's spinning faster, it's charging. The battery doesn't have enough power. The alternator's got to spin real fast in order to get the charge up high enough. But have them both load tested. You'll probably find that one or both have gone bad or are on the way out. Shmuel says, Scotty, how can I clean my catalytic converter without getting it out of the car? There's various cleaners like cat cleaner that you can put in the gas and clean it out. Now, for years, I use paint thinner. It's a special paint thinner. It's the kind they use to thin regular oil-based car paint. They sell the paint and they sell the thinner. I would buy the paint thinner that's made for oil-based paint, and I would put 1 gallon of that to 10 gallons of gasoline in the gas tank and then drive it 200 or 300 miles, and it will often clean them out. Now, sometimes they're too far gone. Realize they burn oil and stuff like that, and they'll clog up. It'll be just like rocks. That ain't going to clean it out. You'd have to replace it. But it's worth a try. I've seen it fix lots of cars. Malfat says, Scotty, I got a 2010 Honda Civic Automatic. The D-dash light started blinking randomly. Reading about this caused me stressing out. When your D-light flashes, that means your computer has stored a code that it thinks there's a problem in the transmission system. Now, even I can't tell you what it means until I hook a scan tool up. When I hook up a scan tool, I can access those codes and then tell you. Sometimes it's something minor, like maybe there's a solenoid that costs $40. On the outside, you can take off, plug another one, and go away. Get a guy like me to scan it, and you'll get codes. And he'll tell you, here's what's going on with your car. It's a warning system. Joshua McIntosh says, I got a Dodge Neon, 250,000 miles, PO420. Where should I start? Well, maybe I'd start with another car. Those Neons, they weren't the greatest cars, right? That's an inefficient catalytic converter. And there are so many things that can do that. Engine that burns oil, engine that doesn't run right, leaking fuel injectors, all kinds of things. If you just bought another catalytic converter, odds are the code would come back after 6 months or a year because it would clog up the new catalytic converter. But on the other hand, I had customers in Houston that had that code for years, and they drove them and the car ran okay. And in Tennessee, no one cares because they don't do emissions testing. So if the car runs okay, you can have all the codes in the world and drive it. Nobody ever checks it. So depending on where you live. But just don't go and buy another catalytic converter because that would probably turn it off in the short run, but it'll probably come right back because it means something is clogging up the cat and destroying it. And just replacing it doesn't fix the underlying cause. John says, I got a 2013 Mustang. I hear clunking noise when I go on bumps in the back. Bushings look good. What else could it be? Often it's just the shocks in the back. You hit them, they clunk. They go clunk. They go up and down. Also, realize your exhaust system hangs on the body of the car with rubber hangers. Check them. Pull on the exhaust when it's cold so you don't burn your hands. You see it moving around, look, you'll probably see those rubber donuts are broken or they're disappeared entirely and have fallen off. The exhaust can clunk too. So shocks and the exhaust hangers are the main things that are going to make those things clunk. They will do exactly that. But do look at the exhaust system closely because there's a lot of rubber hangers and they can come off, and when they do, then it'll clunk because it's not being held in place right. Jim McKean says, Scotty from Minnesota, what do you think of an 04 Toyota Tundra SR5 with 4.7 liter, one owner with 195? They're great vehicles that can run a long time. I don't know how much the guy's asking for it. People have gone insane with the prices that they're asking for cars. I mean, it's gone absolutely bonkers. Now, that thing is going to last a lot longer than that in most cases. But, you know, the 2024 model models are coming out soon, so that'll make it a 20-year-old vehicle. How much money are you willing to pay for a 20-year-old vehicle? That's the only thing you got to realize. Have a guy like me check it out, make sure it's good, it's been taken care of. If it's a one owner, it probably has been, right? But don't overpay with that mileage and that age. That's the only thing. Well, you know how I always say you can't have people and self-driving cars on the same road. They'd have to have separate lanes. Well, a guy's trying to come up with a solution to that. He suggests you have a stop that has 4 lights instead of 3. It's got the green, yellow, red, but it also has one on the bottom that's white that's a smiling robot face. The idea is the regular 3 are regular, green, yellow, red, but then when the white flashing ones goes, it says robots go and people follow. So you would follow the robots. Well, you know, an interesting idea in theory, but then again, if you have people driving cars on the same roads as robots, the people won't obey the rules. The robots probably will, unless they revolt, right? They're programmed, they'll do what they're programmed to do, but people won't. Robots go, people follow, people will just go and run into the robots. An interesting idea this guy came up with, but in the real world, I can see all kinds of problems with this system. Now, sure, the robots can wirelessly communicate with each other. That's why it's fine if they were all robotic cars. We certainly would have a lot less wrecks. That's just common sense. But you can't have people and robots driving on the same roads and put a funky little stop sign with a robot light on the bottom. Let me tell you, that wouldn't work all that well. I know how people are. They just see it and they just go. And then they'd run into the robots. RB says, my Hyundai Accent speedometer doesn't work. Lights are on. I changed the ABS module and reprogrammed the ABS. First thing I'm going to do, get a scan tool. Any scan tool should work good enough. Plug it in. See if the scan tool shows you the speed. If the scan tool, you're going 30, shows you're going 30 miles an hour, that means that the information from the transmission is being transmitted up. And in that case, most of the time that means your dash is broken. The speedometer inside the dash is broken. Now, on the other hand, if you hook up a scan tool and it still says 0 when you're driving 30, that means that you probably need a speed sensor on a transmission, which is a much cheaper fix. Pray it's that. But rather than guess, you plug in a scan tool, and if it doesn't read the speed, then you know the sensor's bad. If it does read the speed, it means the sensor and the wiring's good, and that you got a problem. And in that case, it's almost always the speedometer unit in the dash. It's so expensive, most guys will go to a junkyard, just buy a used dash, put a used dash in. Glenn says, I got a 2012 Toyota Corolla. Has an exhaust shield that is broken off of one of the front bolts. Can I use JB Weld to fix it? No, because JB Weld isn't made for that kind of heat. It gets too hot. What you'd want to do is, if the shield is broken off in one place, maybe drill a hole and put a nut and a bolt in. It's easy enough to do. But JB Weld isn't made to take that kind of heat. It would melt. You don't want to use it there. You want to use just a nut and a bolt, or if you know anybody who knows how to weld, they can just spot weld it, zap, and away you go. It's not hard to do. Well, there's a new technology that might bring hydrogen into the forefront, and you could have hydrogen fuel cells and other uses of hydrogen. Now, presently, if you make, in quotes, green hydrogen, you can use electrolysis, use solar panels, wind. But electrolysis, making water into hydrogen and oxygen, is a real energy hog. It uses a lot of energy. And the dirty hydrogen uses 100% petrochemicals to make the hydrogen. But GH Energy, a Canadian company, have 1 to 25 million watt generators that create hydrogen by a reaction inside. The exothermic reactions inside create hydrogen, alumina, which is aluminum oxide, and of course it's not using much external energy. They use a little energy to start the reaction up, and then the reaction does it itself. But of course, you know, they always claim they make it look a lot greener than it is, because check this out, in their big 25 megawatt reactor, they can use GM turbines to make hydrogen, alumina, and heat that they can use for stuff. But the carbon footprint is only 25% lower than using natural gas. So, I mean, it uses 25% less energy. So you do all this technology, and all you're saving is 25% over what natural gas is. That's certainly not going to save the planet. 1/4 is all you're saving. It's not that big of a deal. Once I read this, it's like, oh, whoa. So it saves 25%. Whoop-de-doo. Now, these international guys say by 2050, the world's going to need 520 million tons of hydrogen to get net zero stuff. I mean, if this is only saving 25% of the energy, that's going to help out much. A lot of these guys, they got something going on, and then you read the fine print. Oh, it saves 25%. Hey, that's not that big of a deal. You know, they're going to have to go a lot further than that. Hydrogen can be used in lots of ways, but if you're only saving 25% over natural gas, creating all these things, all this expense, you must as well just leave it alone and use the natural gas. As they say, and I kind of laugh at it, I quote them, it'll give the world an opportunity to produce significantly cleaner hydrogen for significantly lower costs. Yeah, what a lot of baloney. 25% less pollution, yeah. Ooh. And that's what they say. Who knows what the truth is, right? A lot of this technology is kind of interesting in and of itself, but is it going to save the world? No. Something like this is not going to save the world in the least. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.